Hey guys, this is Scott here, aka the Beekeeper on for Bee Bodies Only. I originally assembled this Hemi and got it up on the run stand and started running the engine for a few minutes and I noticed I had a rear main seal leak. And when I first did this, the short block was already assembled when I got it, so I didn't really know if the seal leaked or not. So I went ahead and took a chance on the seal being okay. It looked dry around it, so I assembled it as is and wound up with the leak. So this is the retainer that was in it. Come over just a little bit closer. This is the retainer that was in it. It was a billet type retainer, and I'm not sure who makes it. I don't know if it's one of the 440 source retainers or an early billet retainer. It uses the little O-ring strips for the side seals, and that's what it had in it. So I have a couple of factory retainers here that are both exactly the same, and I've read a lot of posts about the making sure you line your seal ends up correctly. There's a little play in this retainer when it's in the block. You've got a little side play in it. The factory ones have even more side play in them than this billet one. But anyway, there's all this. Clock them at 6 and 12, or offset them a little bit down in the groove where you've got one side a little bit higher to kind of help that line that up, because once you get it all together, obviously you can't see none of this stuff. So I've got this one apart. So this is the original retainer that was in it, the aftermarket billet one. And if you see right here, if you look closely right here, I had to do a bunch of milling on this to get it to clear the number 5 cap. So when I took it back apart, that was what I found. It was hitting in this area right here. It was originally kind of beveled at that 45. That's what I found originally. But also, to try to locate this seal with the crank and the flange and everything in the way, if you look, come around the back side here, if you look closely, right here, if you look closely, this retainer actually contacts the back of the number 5 cap, and it slides down, and after clearancing it, it slides all the way down into place nice and smooth. Okay, before it would get to about right here, and it tried to kick out a little bit because of that clearance issue. So I plan to reuse this seal, and I'm going to mill this clearance out in here for the oil return, because once oil gets built up inside this particular retainer, it's got no way to get out. It can't escape. If you look at the way this factory retainer is made, it's got this big huge recess in it, and the slinger is right here, your oil slinger, and when it's slinging oil out, trying to get rid of it away from the seal, it's got a place to drain back down to the pan. Now you can see I've done a little bit of clearance work. These are both factory retainers, and these both fit exactly the same in this block. So I just want to try to make a little video here to show you that a lot of people say these are junk because they're billet. Go with the factory one. Okay, I agree that factory is probably the better option, but it's not no guarantee that this retainer won't have interference issues. So if we look over here, we kind of get a little bit closer, and these retainers fit right against the number 5 cap. And as you keep it right against the cap and slide it down, now see, I haven't clearanced this one, and I didn't for the fact that I want you to see if you use main studs, you're going to hit before it ever goes down. It's hitting there, okay? So I got this other one here that I did some clearance work on, and note that I have clearanced this away because this was originally hitting the main cap here. So if you put this retainer up against the cap, keep it fully seated against the cap, and slide it all the way down, you can see that it's hitting right here. It's hitting the number 5 cap on that oil pan bolt bump right there. So it still likes to come around to the back here. So it does kind of fit, but you can see how it's rocking on it right there. It's because it's interfering with the main cap. It should slide all the way down and not have any rotational wiggle to it like that. It shouldn't have any forward or aft wiggle to it. It should seat nice and flat, and the bolts ought to start right in it and not be pulled any at all. So you notice this cap, although it don't have any room for oil drain back, I've got this one clearance good, and you can notice how nice of a fit it is when it's held all the way against the number 5 cap and slid into place. It's a good fit, no rocking, rotational rocking, no back and forth. And check this out, let me find the bolts. You drop the bolts in, you snug them down, we run these in. Now you can't see behind this, or you can't even see the seal when the crank and the flange is in place, so you don't know if your seal ends are lined up correctly or not in here. You really ain't got no way of knowing. So a lot of guys like to do this ahead of time and scrap some marks and do this and that, and that way you put it back and you know your seal ends are lined up. But that's a really good fit, and these are just hand tight. And if you feel inside your groove here, you can tell if it's good side to side. So let me stick the seals in, and we'll just do this blindly by keeping this retainer against the number 5 cap, and we'll see what I'm talking about on the line them up. So you want to make sure that the lip of that seal, this lip is facing internal of the engine. So we drop this seal down in, and we're not going to clock it right now because we want to see the edges of it. And then we're going to come here with this retainer, and we're going to make sure that that flange is facing in, because I've read bunches of stories where guys had leaks and they took them apart and they had this top half turned the wrong way. So now that we've got the ends together, we can't see this with the crank in place, but we're just going to keep it against the number 5 cap and drop it down in there. Start the bolts. Just run them down kind of hand tight. Now see, they normally should line up about even with the back of this block, but I've got this one up against the number 5 cap. Now if we look at the seal ends, let me put some light on it. Come around here to this side where you can see it. And you look at the ends of the seal right there, they're lined up perfectly. I mean, they're just perfect. Let me look at the other side. The other side lined up absolutely perfect. So I just wanted to make a short video of kind of what I found on the big block mopar rear main seal leak issues that everybody has. So there's no guarantees that this is going to fix my issue, but I know that it would never work like it was. So I just want to stress to everybody that's having trouble with rear main seal leaks. I've heard of guys machining some off the back of the cap, and machining 30 thousandths off of the retainer to get a little bit tighter fit, but all that does is just makes it out of round. So that's what I found on it, and I appreciate you watching my video. And if you like it, hit like, share, subscribe, whatever you'd like to do. And that's all I got today. If you have any questions, post them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. And see you later.